Meantime, I'm not making any money. And I can't remember, might have been through my agent at the time, Richard Lawrence, wonderful man. Somebody set me up with an interview with a guy who was in the music business. And he was just starting out. And he was thinking about going into TV. The guy's name was Haim Saban. Okay. And Haim Saban is now worth about $3 billion. Okay. Haim recently, talk about jumping out of back and forth in time. Haim gave $50 million, donated $50 million to the new Academy of Motion, of the Museum of Academy of the Motion Pictures that's on Fairfax and Wilshire now, where May Company used to be. $50 million. And if you go there, it says the Saban Building. Haim's name always comes first. The Saban Building, and then Museum of the Academy of, I'm saying it wrong, Museum of Academy of Motion Arts. But anyways, that's where Dorothy's Ruby's Red Slippers are, etc. So now, today, 2022, Haim's worth all that money. Back then, he was a music producer who wanted to get into TV. And he was he and his partner, Shuki Levy, who did the music writing, Haim was the businessman, he was selling a lot of his music to Deke Enterprises. And Deke had a fair amount of shows on the air. They were in competition with Ruby Spears, another smaller company, Hanna-Barbera, of course. They were the big ones with Yogi Berra, the Flintstones, etc., which I did watch as a kid. So Haim wanted to get into TV, and he'd hired a girl named Ellen Levy, who I knew because during the crazy Chuck Barris days, we still had time, Metzger, Friedman, and I, and Ellen Metzger, to do a show. Ellen came from New York, Compliance and Practices. She had a show called Your Word or Mine, which we piloted, didn't sell. Okay, goodbye. Fast forward, okay, here we are. And Ellen's got an idea. It's called I'm Telling. Okay, and it's kids telling on each other about their parents. Now, it's a cute title, but it was the Newlywed Game. Again, I'd done that show. I said, Haim, we can't, they're going to kill me. I can't do the same exact show except with parents and kids. I had to, no, don't worry. And it was sort of like Merrill changing Hollywood squares from 9 squares to 6 triangles using the same question format, again, with a joke and then 2 possible answers. The way Haim explained it to me then, and I'll never forget it, he said, all we have to do is come up with 5 differences between the 2 shows. Okay. On the Newlywed Game, you use 4 couples. On I'm Telling, we're only using 3, and they're not couples, they're brothers and sisters. Different point score, different bonus round. It was enough. Sure enough, Chuck, I don't know if it was Chuck himself, but Barris Productions did sue Saban. And according to Haim, again, this is secondhand, I'm trying to remember the exact words. The judge presumably, I didn't hear him. The judge presumably said the only things I see in common between these 2 shows is they're both inane, case closed. Okay, that's what I was told by Haim.
Does seem pretty outlandish, but knowing Haim.
That he said that?
No, that story being that a judge would say that. But no.
Yeah, well, again, that's what I told, I wasn't part of it. I didn't think we could go ahead with the show, but we did. So for the first time since I had been a magician for kids' parties and also played the guitar for the kids, and I was a babysitter, like everybody was, I guess, back then. I was really good with kids, and hosting I'm Telling was really a breeze for me. And we had so much fun. And my goal always, because Haim Saban had never done a live TV show, and Shuki, his partner, would come into, they'd watch the run-throughs, which we held, luckily, because Haim had a music studio, we'd use the music studio at night to interview the kids. And it was not unlike the Newlywed Game process. A bunch of kids would come in, and I would take the one kid went backstage, and, which one of you, as simple as, which one of you is going to get married first, you or your sister? Come on, Joshua, you got 50-50 shot, you or your sister, what's it going to be? And I became very, very good at that point. and we were pitching it strictly to NBC Saturday morning, because at that point, this is 1980. I got to look at my resume. Oh, you're such a smart ass. Yes, if you say so. And NBC only had animated programming on, and so they were open to a live action show. Why a game show? I don't know, but that's what, budgetary wise, obviously game shows were a lot easier to produce than any other kind of show, both from the set and obviously paying contestants as opposed to actors. So I interviewed a ton of kids, and I did a lot of run-throughs for NBC. They would come in, and I was so good at it. And, Haim being Jewish, and I being Jewish, and Ellen Levy being Jewish, I was under the assumption, and Haim was all for me to host the show. NBC, on the other hand, the woman in charge, was not that she wasn't enamored of me. It was just, I was maybe a little too ethnic to be the host of a game show. At that point, again, I'll use the term white bread. I'm not Alex Trebek. I'm not Peter Marshall. I'm not a traditional looking. I'm not a Jim Peck. I look like a guy from New York. But it got down to the end, and we're about to build the set. Haim wanted to bring the show in, on a really tiny budget. So I found a studio, it's called VPS on Seward. And the set that we built, which was not a terrific set, but it was not my art director, it barely fit in the studio. And we hadn't done a pilot on the show, for the show, because again, we were kind of under the impression that I was going to host it, and I hardly needed a pilot because I had done maybe 70 run-throughs. At some point, I'll put the run-throughs and maybe the first show that I did on YouTube, because it's rather amusing. Anyway, so it's brothers and sisters getting to know all about them. And again, because I was a Star Trek nerd, how are we going to get the kids off? I beamed them on and off a la Star Trek, although it was cheesier looking than Star Trek. We didn't have that kind of budget. Why did we beam them off? No reason other than I'm a Star Trek fan. It had nothing to do with the show, and nobody ever asked me, and so we did that. So kids went off to the isolation booth. Anyway, how to bring in hosts? We brought in only a few hosts, and a gentleman truly a gentleman, good guy. His name is Laurie Fosso. Voiceover talent, and he had done Bullwinkle the Moose, and he did it for us. He did an incredible Bullwinkle, for those who remember Rocky and Bullwinkle, and has since become rather famous or infamous for doing all the meta shows and Marvel Universe shows that I don't see. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, he does one of the voices. I don't know which one, but everybody else will. And all those animated projects that are out there, Laurie's doing those wonderfully. But he had never hosted a show. And just as I said, with Bob Eubanks doing Newlywed Game was far superior than even, the Jim Lang version of the Newlywed Game, because Jim is a good host, but it takes a special person to know when to go digging and when to stop, or when to hear a good answer from one kid and know, okay, got to wait for the other sister or brother to come out and now reveal and now explore, which Bob was the master of. And I learned from Bob. I'm not taking credit, believe me. Bob, if I'm good at hosting, and I've hosted many shows since, it's because of Bob Eubanks. Bob, I better not say this, but Bob was, in my head, was the best host I've ever worked with, just in terms of producing, thinking on his feet, knowing and again, if we brought back Newlywed Game now, if he get off his 90-year-old ass, he could still do it. But Bob, entrepreneur, he brought the Beatles to the Hollywood Bowl in '65. Bob is a genius. Anyway, So NBC was set on this guy, and he did a few run-throughs, but he was good. But when you're dealing with kids and you're dealing with that format, you really need great. I'm not saying I'm great. I emulate Bob Eubanks, and you know what? I'll put up the I'm telling, and you can maybe I'll put up an I'm telling run through, and you can add it to this to show how it's formatted. So anyway, we just breezed through 40 episodes without a pilot, and Laurie did an okay job. You know, we did a few celebrity shows. We had Sean and Mackenzie Aston on. It's funny, Mackenzie was a big star then, and now Sean is better known from, well, Stranger Things and Lord of the Rings, I guess.
Lord of the Rings. Rudy.
And I don't know what Mackenzie's doing, and yet Patty Duke and I, their mom, you know, she had done either Battle Stars or All Star Blitz. Lovely lady. Oh my God, I used to watch the Patty Duke show when I was a kid too, and the Miracle Worker, amazing. But it just, the show did not work. It was on for the one season, which I was glad about. And it was it my first? Oh, well, after, of course, Freeze Frame, I got full producer credit. And after Haim Saban's name, you know, I got producer credit. And then Ellen got deservedly created by credit. And when the 40 shows were over, it was like, whew, okay, because I was not really proud of that show. And then within a year or two, because Haim is Haim and he's a salesman and a half, he sold it to the USA Network, which ran it for about 4 years, 5 days a week, the same 40 episodes. And it's like, oh my God, of all the shows that I ever produced, that one is the one that I didn't want rerun to death. And it wasn't Writers Guild, so I didn't make any money off of it, but it ran forever. But on NBC, just the 13 weeks. Anyway, or maybe more. I don't remember exactly how long it was, but I wasn't proud of that.